Madam Deputy Speaker, for calling me to speak in this very important debate, a debate in which we've actually heard a surprising amount of consensus from both sides, in between a few rhetorical flourishes. Plaid Cymru would welcome the extension of the 5% reduced rate of VAT, but believes the measure should be extended for the entirety of the forthcoming financial year. Members will of course be familiar with the dreaded three-winter scenario that many in the hospitality sector have suffered. And although the vaccination programme's progress to date is very promising, we remain in its early stages. It is difficult at this point to predict how things will develop in the coming months, and so extending the VAT reduction for the entire financial year would offer welcome certainty, as well as boosting the sector and helping businesses get back to their feet. This is particularly pertinent in economically marginalised areas that are less likely to benefit from large-scale public projects. In Ceredigion, for instance, the hospitality sector employs approximately 4,500 workers, or 16% of the local workforce. Just as important, of course, are our high streets. They deserve and should get our support, and so I hope the Chancellor will be able to consider extending the business rates relief package when he comes to unveiling the budget next week. There's also an urgent need for the Government to look again at the framework for the repayment of government-guaranteed debt. Now, UK hospitality has estimated that the sector lost around £72 billion in sales in 2020 and faces, quite frankly, a debt mountain, including £4.8 billion in state-backed loans. It is therefore important that businesses which took out bounce-back loans and CBILS are only required to repay when they are in a position to do so, or in other words, when they have bounced back from the pandemic. Now, affording this level of flexibility and thus preventing avoidable business failures would help protect jobs, the taxpayers' investment in the recovery and the integrity of our financial system. And so I do hope the Chancellor will be able to recognise this in his budget. Finally, I urge the Government to maintain the furlough scheme to give employees and employers security as our economy adjusts. The scheme should only be phased out once both the pandemic and the prevailing economic conditions have stabilised. Doing otherwise would risk undermining its very success in protecting jobs and stifling any nascent economic recovery. I would also add my voice to those calling for an extension of the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, including expansion in the eligibility criteria called for in this motion, and for an equivalent director support scheme, so as to offer support to those who have thus far not received a penny. In closing, Madam Deputy Speaker, having done so much to protect the economy and the workforce, we must not withdraw support prematurely, as to do so would risk throwing away vast amounts of taxpayers' money and potentially our economic recovery.